Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Jeff, it's World War III. It's the cruiserweights. We're going way back to 1997. How did this make our list, my man?
Yeah, this is an exciting one. This is one that just super high ranked on a card that was not great. This is one of those hidden ones where it wasn't even we're so used to the cruiserweights opening a card as well too. They did not on this one, which you'll get into, but kind of tucked away, not even really a bathroom match. It's just where it was placed on the card, just kind of unusual. And so, primarily just because, time of the year, this man, we're on a little bit of an anniversary on this one, just when it was happening. And so November 23rd, 1997. And so not too far off of that, but yeah, it was just, who doesn't love Eddie and Ray, and especially with everything that Dominic's doing to kind of call back to some of that as well too. And, Ray still being Ray. I saw, we'll talk about, he said in the next 2 years he wants to retire, which the fact that the dude says he still has 2 years left in him is insanity. But, who doesn't love that? So, yeah, just a lot of different reasons to cover this match.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, but they're doing such a good job with Ray. We'll talk more about that, but I'm really happy with how they're booking him, and it's been a lot of fun. So, cool. Well, let's get into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
You mentioned something. You said that this was not a well-received pay-per-view, and Jeff, you would be correct. World War III, 1997, November 23rd. We're in Auburn Hills, Palace of Auburn Hills. I'm assuming you didn't go to this. Were you not into WCW?
Not WCW. No, I did see some WWE, WWF shows at the Palace. The Palace is a terrible venue. Was a terrible venue. It's since been torn down. When you talk about like the Pistons used to play there and being Detroit, like the Palace of Auburn Hills, and Auburn Hills is probably about 45 minutes to an hour away from Detroit, and it was even longer from my parents' house. And so, just not a great venue to hopefully pull people in. It just wasn't happening.
Got it. There's a poster for this show that was kind of cool. It said 60 warriors, 3 rings, 1 survivor. You do the math.
That's some boy math, as they call it nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny. We'll get into this. Scott Hall is going to win the World War III match. Interestingly enough, he didn't use that title shot until Uncensored in March, and Sting would go on and beat him for that. 4.5 out of 10 stars was one rating for this show. Meltzer's readers had this 64% thumbs down.
Real bad. That's high. That's actually pretty high. Yeah.
Yeah. Worst match was the Battle Royal, which that's the whole point of this show. That'd be like saying the worst match at a Royal Rumble was the Royal Rumble, which I bet you's never happened, because even in some of the worst Royal Rumbles, they were still fun. And this was just a horrible concept. Battle Royals in general really aren't that interesting. You do them for fun or to fill time or whatever. But yeah, has there ever been a great Battle Royal? Then even you say like some of those AEW ones, yeah, but they had people entering at different intervals, so that was more like a Royal Rumble, Battle Royal. So. The best match on the show was this match, not even close. And so I'm sure we're in for a real treat. Faces of Fear, Meng and the Barbarian are going to defeat Glacier and Ernest Miller in 9 minutes. Saturn's going to keep his TV title over Disco Inferno by submission. Yuji Nagata is going to defeat Ultimo Dragon. So we actually had kind of a cruiserweight match on this show prior to the
second best match. Yep.
Yeah. Steiner brothers are going to keep their tag titles against the Blue Bloods, which was Steven Regal and Squire David Taylor. Raven's going to defeat Scotty Riggs in a Ravens Rules match. Steve McMichael is going to defeat Alex Wright in 3 minutes. Then we get to the match we cover, which, like you said, odd placement for a cruiserweight match, but that's a good thing. Then in your semi-main event, a fun match. Kurt Hennig is going to keep his U.S. title in a no DQ match against Ric Flair. I just always loved their dynamic, and two
Agreed.
of them. Yeah, and then Scott Hall is going to win that Battle Royal. I mean, I guess the only good part was it only went a half hour, but man, 30 minutes for a Battle Royal, and he had the 3 rings and all the chaos, and I don't know. And then Scott Hall winning it. I mean, what does that really do for anyone? I mean, we all love Scott Hall, but, maybe there was a guy that could have benefited more from it. I mean, you weren't going to make him your champion. So anyways, that's it. Storyline standpoint, how do we get to these two?
Yeah, I think there's a reason we don't have 60-man battle royals anymore. Like, just crazy. But Eddie on this one, and so he actually lost the U.S. Heavyweight Championship at this point. Who, of course, on this card, that belt not being defended, but the Hennig Flair match. And so, they had that. And so Guerrero, though, started a feud with Jericho on this point because Jericho was the cruiserweight champion at this point. It was actually Clash of Champions 35. He lost that one, but he wanted a rematch in that one. So it was actually the opening match of Fall Brawl. Guerrero defeated Jericho to win the WCW World Cruiserweight Championship. And so that Fall Brawl 1997, like that one taking place, it was September 14th. This show, just to kind of give you a little bit of a timeline here, is November 23rd. So about 2 months prior to this is when you got Guerrero winning the belt on this one. But he ended up, as we know, losing that belt, though, to Rey Mysterio Jr. It was their Halloween Havoc title versus mask match, where Mysterio, of course, had the mask on the line. Go back in the archives. We have that one on there. Hot Shot, though, just a couple weeks after that, though, about a week and a half, actually, on Nitro, winning the belt back from Mysterio. So, a little bit of back and forth with those guys over a couple of weeks, really kind of, like I said, hot shot in the title. Rey, on the flip side to this, though, he had actually been feuding with Prince Iaukea for the World Television Championship. It was actually a match back in February they had, which Lord Steven Regal attacked him. And so losing a couple different matches, not getting that belt. He also had just kind of, I say, booking him like you would book the cruiserweights, like nothing great, nothing top of the card, but putting on good matches. Like he had a match with Ultimo Dragon, he feuding with Conan as well too, which was actually a really good feud with that one. That was a Mexican death match at Road Wild, and so having a nice little feud there. And then of course that's when he then got into the feud with Eddie. At this point, it was September, like we said, the Road Wild was August, and then into September getting into it with Eddie. And so really a lot of moving pieces on this one, like the feud for a couple months, kind of the belt back and forth as well too, and really a rematch of the previous card pay-per-view when they had the title versus mask match on this show. So yeah.
Well, we know this is going to be a good match, so I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this should be good stuff. I think this is one of those, hopefully, one of those just kind of hidden ones that we get on a card that's not great. But yeah.
All right. Are you ready?
Well, yep. I got it pulled up.
1 hour, 27-minute mark. World War III, 1997. 1 hour, 27-minute mark. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
It's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
All right, heel Eddie in the ring, gold tights, kind of a good look.
Looks great.
Ray going black and white for this one. I mean, think of all that. How many outfits does Ray have in his career?
Oh my God! Well, his Titantron video is all the masks and stuff, and that's probably just not even a fraction of them. Yeah.
He's got some color in the mask there. That's all.
I like that. He looks good. I like the side. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good look. How have you felt about? I mean, you know, now I got it. Now I got to pull it up because I'm curious. How have you felt about the way he's been booked since he's been back?
Um, I really like Rey Mysterio. I don't think at this point in his career, like, he needs to be at the top of the card. He doesn't need that big belt. We've seen that run before. Don't need to see it again. But I think the LWO stuff has saved a few careers. I think, to get people over. I think that the stuff they always have the Dominic story in the hopper. Like, and they don't need to do it right now. Like, I was not completely sold on Dominic, even probably 6 months, a year ago. But man, he's kind of turned it around on me, and he is one of the best heels on the planet right now, which is crazy. And I think that at any point they could go back to that story and they've told it before, but I think they can go back to it and do a good job of with the same time. But I think it's a great use of a legend like Cena, like we talked about before. Like, he's helping getting people over. He's having fun matches like that. We forget about that sometimes. Like I said it last, I don't need a 5-star Rey Mysterio match, but if I get a 10-minute Rey Mysterio match against like Chad Gable or like something like that, where they just go out there and tear the house down, in the 9 o'clock hour, like, I'm perfectly happy. How about you?
Yeah, what I wanted to pull up was I was trying to think of how long this run has been. I mean, right? Like, it's been. I mean, he's been back since 2018. So you're going to end up. This is just crazy to think about, but like, this run is going to end up being 6 or 7 or maybe even 8 years long, which is crazy to think about.
He is. So, he's currently 48.
Yeah,
Yeah, in 1997 when this took place, like that's just crazy to think about. Like, how, like, that was, 20 plus 25 years ago, 26 years ago. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah. So I was trying to get my timeline. So he was in WWE up until 2014. Okay. So then 15, 16, 17, he was gone and, did stuff kind of all over the world. Interestingly enough, one of his last matches was against Will Ospreay, and he also wrestled Ricochet a few times prior to coming back. So he comes back for the 18 Rumble.
Yeah, I was going to say it was at Rumble. Yep.
Then he's in the 18 Greatest Royal Rumble. He'd go off and do a few matches outside of WWE, and then October of 2018, he was back in the fold, and then of course has been back in the fold ever since. So it's just been a fun run, and they're just doing a really good job with him. I feel like he's where he should be, which is, he's not world champion, but he's in that like upper mid card, giving him a U.S. title run makes a lot of sense to me. Why not? I'll tell you where I wonder, like, why couldn't they have booked Edge this way? Like, and that's what I just don't understand. I don't know if it's because Edge only had a certain number of matches and they felt like they, Ray's like, hey, I'll be there and work TV every week. I don't know, but it's just like, to me, this is like, this run of Rey has just been fantastic. But again, maybe it's the fact that he's like, yeah, I'll be on TV every week and I'll wrestle as much as you need me to.
He's super over with kids. Like, we forget that, like, you and I, older and wrestling fans, but like, kids love him. Like, I was talking to one of my friends, actually. He's got 2 kids, and she was saying, like, she's not married, divorced. And so she's like, she's talking to me about trying to learn more. And she's like, my son really likes Cody. Like, is Cody okay? I was like, Cody's okay. Like, Rey Mysterio's okay. Like, some of those people, like, just kind of telling her, like, there's always going to be good guys and bad guys, but like, that's just wrestling. But I said, if he likes Cody, like, that's a good choice. Like, so they actually went to, I think it was a house show not that long ago. And I was like, just go, like you'll have a really good time, especially at a house show. Like you're going to leave happy or something, like go buy him a Cody shirt. Like it'll be a good time. And they went and they had a really good time. And so I'm happy about that. So yeah. But yeah,
really,
like
really good superplex there. Kind of each was on the other side, and I hadn't seen
little botchy there was a Hurricane Rana that looked a little funky, and then also like the outside move was weird as well too. But like moving incredibly fast though, no matter what. Yeah. Oh boy, yeah, that kind of snap Hurricane Rana. Really good. I guess if we talked a little bit like. And this is a short match to get into it. Like Sting's retirement's coming up. Rey has said he's got 2 more years in him. For me, in a fantasy book, this like is the inevitable match for his mask. Like, is he going to go? I could see Rey going out on his back, like maybe losing to Dominic, and then that's how you tell. Like Dominic can tell that story then, and have like I just in my head I can see Dominic like holding the mask up, to the hard cam, and like I beat my father, retired my father, all that stuff. Like, and I think Rey would do that for Dominic. Yeah,
yeah. It's so long from now that like it's tough to pinpoint. Like it's like if he was like Sting, I'd have a if he was retiring soon, the idea of him losing his mask, what I think could be kind of cool though is if like say that Dominic wins the mask, but like if he only used the mask like Finn Balor does with the paint, and so Dominic comes out for a match, and let's say he's a babyface, but like he comes out for a match, and it's like he's wearing his dad's mask. Like, this guy's serious. He means business. So I don't know, something like that could be interesting. But yeah, obviously a few ways away. My fantasy booking for Sting, and probably won't happen. Here's what I would do, and I'm saying this because I think AEW needs to do something big that people will talk about. First of all, I would have as many legends there as possible. Can you get Bret Hart? Can you get Ric Flair? You probably can't get The Undertaker, but hey, it doesn't hurt to ask, right? How many of his Lex Luger, how many of his previous opponents can you get to be ringside? I think that would be a really cool aesthetic. I'd build the whole show around Sting. What I would do is I would have the main event be Sting versus the world champion. I would have Sting win the world championship and retire from professional wrestling as AEW champion. I think that does more for AEW than him going out on his back. How does that sound to you?
I like that. I don't know necessarily if he needs a belt match. I'm looking at this too. So he will be, if the cards play out like they should, he will be 65 when he retires, which is insanity when you think about the run he's had. I'm wondering, like, I don't want a Darby turn. I don't think that's necessary. I just think that I'm with you. I think you make it about Sting. It's a celebration of Sting. Maybe he does put somebody over halfway through or something like that. The Acclaimed comes out or something, or Billy Gunn. Like, who knows? Like there's all kinds of potential there. But yeah, I think it would be. And he's played a little bit. We saw Joker Sting not that long ago. Like, I would love to see Beach Sting again, like one final time, like put on the colorful paint for us. Like, like you said, like do like a Finn Balor, surprise us with that. Like, I think that would be kind of funny. 1 week he's got the bleach blonde hair, and then the next week it's back to black. That'd be funny. But I think like it's crazy too, because you and I think we're going to see more wrestler retirements too in the next 5 to 10 years as well, of people that we grew up loving, and like they've had these super long careers like Rey and Sting, and like, it is what makes grown men cry, some of this type of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Darby heel turn does nothing for me. I mean, I could see that him putting him over in his final match. I think Sting should win. I am not I'm not an absolutist when it comes to the guy that's going out should lose. Yep. And I think sometimes that makes sense, and that's okay. But I also like what was, let's say, okay, so Undertaker's final match was AJ Styles. Undertaker won. So what are you going to say? Oh, Undertaker should have gone out on his back. Well, would AJ Styles be a bigger star if he beat The Undertaker? No, AJ Styles is who he is. Hey, Baron Corbin beat Undertaker or beat Kurt Angle. So what? Who cares? I just don't think it matters that much. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that sometimes it can help and it can get someone over. John Cena lost Austin Theory. What happened there? So imagine if that was Cena's last match. Well, no, Cena should have won that match then. It just doesn't make sense. I understand the thought of it. And look, if a guy's quote unquote leaving the territory, that's different. You know, Ric Flair's final match, losing to Mr. Perfect all those years ago, that made sense. He should lose on the way out. He's going to continue to wrestle. But like, it's not like it matters that much. So I would rather the moment. I would rather Sting go out as champion. I thought Taker should have won championship in his final. Taker's final 2 matches should have been winning the Royal Rumble and then defeating the champion and leaving the title with his boots in the ring. That would be one of the greatest moments in the history of wrestling. So that's what I see. I mean, if you're AEW, does it, like, why not end that? Tell me why you don't end the show with all the former wrestlers holding Sting up and him holding the championship. That's it. He goes off into the sunset, just like John Elway did, just like Jerome Bettis did, holding the championship. That's iconic, and people will talk about it forever. Who cares if he wins? Then you have a title tournament, and it's a great tournament, and at the end of the tournament, Sting can hold the guy's hand and congratulate him and give him a little bit of a rub. And the guy could attack Sting if you wanted to give him some of that rub if you want to. But that moment, and again, you're not going to do it for everyone, but I mean, there's a handful of guys that I think you could do it for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, I know I get shit on every time I say this, but like, we're going to see another Taker match, like, especially coming back from NXT. Like, we will see some kind of match at some point as well too. Like, not going to be with Braun Breaker, but which that was a great segment too, by the way. Like, it's all, like, you bring him back for that occasionally, once or twice a year, not even twice a year. Like, I'm going to
perfect frog splash. Boom.
Huge one. Giant elevation. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Yep. Eddie getting the win after Ray had a close call just a little bit before that. Yep.
And by the way, you could totally sign me up for Taker Braun Breaker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. So,
and does it matter if Taker wins? No.
Put the kid over.
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right. Good stuff.
Okay. Let's get into the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
All right, what you think?
A little botchy at the start, but they definitely, it was a great cruiserweight match though. Like, it looked really good. Once they kind of got first 2, 3, 4 minutes were rough, but then after that, they really got comfortable. They were doing all kinds of crazy stuff, like just really good stuff. Here's the Ray kind of flying to the outside, Eddie catching him perfect. Yeah, just really good cruiserweight match. Not not the title versus mask match, but still really, really good.
Yep, I agree. It was good. I liked it.
Getting to my notes here. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, what kind of happened after this one? What do we got? So, this match, of course, taking place late November. Getting in this one, so of course, Eddie retaining the title. It was actually Dean Malenko. It was the opening cruiserweight match of Starrcade in December. Retaining on that one, but then dropping the title to Ultimo Dragon actually the following day on Nitro. Kind of weird, like, don't let him, or let him win the belt on the pay-per-view and then drop it on a Nitro, whatever. But I guess that's WCW for you. It was actually January then, getting into the following year, 1998, Ray defeating Juventud Guerrero to win his third cruiserweight championship, and then losing it again, hot-shotting this belt like crazy, losing it 9 days later to Chris Jericho. It sold out, so Jericho getting the belt back on that one. So after the match, it was actually Mysterio, or got a beat down after the match, got a tools that Jericho had, literal tools, like working tools, beat him down so Rey could get, knee surgery at that point. So he was out for a little bit. And then coming back, Bash at the Beach, actually in 1998, returning, defeating Jericho for the Cruiserweight champion. But again, a next night loss as well, too. Actually, it was overturned, and the belt was returned to Jericho because of Dean Malenko's interfering. So just really a lot of hot shot with everything at this point. So Eddie was unranked. I don't know why. I need to dig into it a little bit more, but Rey was 29 in 1997. The torch on this one, good match, no doubt, but well below their Halloween Havoc bout, 3.5 stars. This was the best match. The poll on this one, I don't know, overall, like you had already said, just a bad card. Mysterio, what do we got here? Mysterio Jr. and Eddie stole the show, but in the words of Jim Cornette, it was a petty theft. They had what would have been an incredible match had any other two wrestlers in the world done it, with inventing new moves and some incredible spots. But due to a little sloppiness and hesitation after missed spots by Mysterio, fell well short of the match of the year standard they had set last month, and the people were going in with an inflated expectations of. The match got a little sluggish after Mysterio missed a move and both hesitated noticeably. Mysterio Jr. came back with a springboard leg drop for a near fall and got a great near fall after an incredible springboard somersault Hurricane Rana. The finish saw Guerrero do a modified stun gun type maneuver and get the pin after a frog splash. 4 stars. So 4 from the Observer, 3.5 from the Torch. Tom, what are you giving this one for your payoff score?
6.5. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. But I thought it was just a really good cruiserweight match. Nothing more, nothing less. What about you?
I'm with you. I thought, like I said, the sloppiness kind of marked it down a little bit for me. I think we've seen greatness from them. So that's kind of the part of the issue too, of just kind of like, we know what it could have been and it wasn't quite there. Still a very good match though between these two. Nothing to complain about. Like a good match, but I would say go watch that Halloween Havoc match if you're really looking forward for a Rey Eddie Guerrero match. But yeah.
Good. Well, that was fun.
Always. Yeah. And next week, what do we got?
Next week we're only a year later. We're going to 1998, but quite a different match. We're going to cover Austin Undertaker buried alive at In Your House 26 Rock Bottom.
Yeah, it should be. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm not looking forward to a 6-star classic, but that's okay. But we got some good stuff, of course, into December now, into the winter month. Here we go. Let's make this happen with a strong run to the end of 2023. Here we go. Another year for us.
All right. Well, we appreciate everyone listening. We'll see you next week on an all-new episode of... Okay.